the Ascend group up against JDG, a favorite for the whole tournament, or so people thought, but so far Trouble looking a little lackluster in the upper group.
Absolutely. They had a pretty insane group stage on the LPL placement, and JDG looked unbeatable. I feel like I also said out of all the top teams, they looked like they were the ones that looked the most unbeatable. But so far, AL have not disappointed with Ale coming in, with Tabe jumping in as the coach as well. I feel like their diversity and the way they're playing around the fights on the Rift is incredible. We're just about to jump into game one between AL and JDG.
The Jindong cheerleader, chant leader, I don't know what the name is for the guy that shouts the Gyos, but my god, he is my personal hero. Absolute, like the sheer power in his voice as a shoutcaster, I can only aspire to bring the level of hype that guy brings to the crowd. As here we go. We have skip champ select slightly here, as Hope and Kael going to have a very, very strong 2v2, but at the level 1, shenanigans afoot as Kael on that Braum can bring a lot of power. They're going to try and move into the brush. Yagao and Ruler there, though. Spot them out. I don't think much will come of this one as Sheer forced out on the top side.
Real quickly as context as well, the Ashe was B1 for the side of AL, as well as followed by Corki and Braum. That was the first rotation into Tristana, Zyra, and Ezreal was the first rotation from JDG. JDG that have a pretty good combo. However, the way that I see it, whenever I see sort of Kennen, I'm expecting a lot of all-in tools. And even though they do have those, you know, you can follow up. Obviously, the Rel will create the engage. You can follow this up with the Kennen. You do have Tristana and Ezreal wanted to go in. I always see Zyra as a tool to peel. And it feels like when you're trying to reach people with Zyra, that is one of her weaknesses, right? The more range you have against Zyra, the better it is for you, because she has to overextend to reach you, and because it's so immobile, she could be getting caught. Talking about getting caught, Kanavi is in Croco's face. Croco grabs his chicken, gets out.
He does just about get it. Kanavi, I think, grabbing a couple of the little ones there, did manage to get 2 CS out of it. And you can see Croco only on 6 instead of that 8 that you'd expect, as Hope and Kael, despite the fact that Hope was only level 1, still winning out the trade. That is the power of Ashe Braum in the bottom lane.
Extremely oppressive, especially since you don't necessarily have many enchanter supports that are played right now. We have seen the occasional, you know, Karma Ezreal resurging back into the meta. However, Braum is absolutely fantastic, especially when you're playing against, well, 1, champions with a lot of poke, like Ezreal, and 2, melee supports that you pretty much counter. Also loving the exhaust that Kael is running, especially playing against Sheer's Kennen. Croco is gonna pay Sheer visit.
Sheer gets the stun though. Doesn't even have to flash. Really nicely played. Had the 2 stats. And now Croco is out of position and Kanavi's found him. Sheer moves over to finish the job as well. But here comes Ala to try and turn it around. Sheer has to flash, but Ala executes him. Croco falls, and Ala now in a 1v1 with Kanavi. And Kanavi finds the root, the red buff to slow. Flash on cooldown for both players. Ala will walk away.
Ooh, that was almost disastrous right there for Kanavi and Sheer. Kanavi, you do not miss those. Missing E on a target that's walking on a straight line towards you in the brush. Almost disastrous for JDG. However, they bring it back around. And something that has been talked about a lot is the choice between Sheer and Flandre for JDG. Sheer seems to be the starter for JDG for quite a while now, especially coming into Summer Split. Let's watch this play one more time again. Croco, he's walking on a straight line, man. And Kanavi missing that E right there. Almost made it seem like Sheer was going to lose his life a little bit too fast. He's going to flash forward, force Ali to flash. It's a 1-for-1 trade overall.
That was the difference maker. If he hits that E, Kanavi doesn't have to flash after Croco, and then Kanavi can finish off Ala as well. That's a double kill for Kanavi if he hits that E. Croco smites away the Scuttle Crab. At least missing, able to force that smite out from him, but you know, good play initially from Kanavi, but a slight mechanical misstep. Unfortunately, not quite enough. So, a very aggressive early game. I just want to quickly mention as well, Sheer getting counter pick in that top side. He was the one they got to pick after the fact. So, the Jax was locked in blind for Ala. It's a pick that's often banned away from him. Ala in incredible form right now. The whole team of AL in fantastic form. We'll see if they can challenge JDG. So far, they've been able to go even. We'll see if that can continue. I feel I'm scared to go way too far into a narrative point because these teams at any moment could be turning into an action.
All right.
To a fight.
Into an action-packed fight. There you go. Kanavi heading towards the top side again. Ale.
You know, it's that kind of thing.
No flash. Low HP. Red buff still on Kanavi.
Kanavi, can he land his route is the question. Yes, he can. I don't think they've got enough range damage, though, to finish him on the tower. Ale gets away again. Merc treads, really valuable there.
However, just bullying him out underneath his tower allows Sheer to pressure in that wave. And as you can see, Void Grubs will spawn in about 30 seconds, which will give a lot of priority on the members of JDG to push down those waves, take some control of the topside river. Missing, he's gonna have to get off his horse to jump over the wall, but he'll be fine overall. And an overarching arc, right, for AL is that they have been so freakishly good this split. Adding Ale over in the top lane has been an incredible form, as you mentioned. Adding Tabe over to the coaching staff, who has brought so much diversity, but it feels like the macro of the team has been impeccable. I feel like one of the great features of the team is that you give them an inch, they'll take an arm. And that feels like you give them a summoner spell, they'll take the kill, which will give them the vision, which will give them the game. And it feels like no team has been able to crack that code yet. No team has been able to out-macro and out-tempo AL on the map. Oh.
Hang on, fight coming through. Yagao arrives to try and protect his support, but I think Missing might just fall. Exhaust comes down onto Yagao, but Missing will just about get away with his life. A player that's been criticized a little bit on this JDG roster, Ale, is feeling a little bit saucy. He's got a blast cone to work with. Oh no! The stun, just a split second too early, and Missy gets out.
That was so genius from Ale to take the entire trip around the jungle, making sure that he jumps through the blast cone with Counter-Strike active, try and catch Missing. Missing does have his flash available if he needed to use that. However, yeah, to continue what I was saying is that AL are just so quick triggered on the map to find their next step that a lot of teams seem to be falling behind the tempo. And JDG traditionally is a team that likes to play slow. You got a lot of scale in your team with the Ezreal, with the cannon. You would like to get to those 2 to 3 items. However, against AL, you are forced to try and play a little bit faster in this early game. I think this is going to have to be JDG's task for today. Can they basically beat themselves and be a little bit more proactive in that early game? Croco.
Can they fight their demons?
In the fray again.
His demons are in the mid lane right now, and he just is going to burn down Croco, autoing him to death as now the vines come through onto the rest of the team. Kael gets the shield of True Shot. Barrage! Finds Croco, he face plants into the wall, and JDG managed to answer the pick onto Yagao.
A ruler finds a pick from downtown. And now Sheer?
All in on the top side. Sheer uses his ult defensively, gets a stun, but Ale still has that Grandmaster's might. We've seen him find kills here before. Flash would have been up, but doesn't pull the trigger. Drake's still up, by the way. Both teams fighting hard.
I thought JDG were doing Dragon all this time. It's so good to be the case. JDG, they have the numbers advanced. They killed Croco. They want to take as much of that jungle away as possible. This big grub right there will be smited away.
It'll be okay for now. 600 gold lead for Ruler, 500 gold lead for Shanks, 500 gold lead for Kanavi, 200 gold lead for Ale. It is back and forth across the map, but it leads to an almost even game state. JDG just 500 gold ahead across the board here, and a lot of that in Ruler's pocket right now. Looking towards him as a player that we have big expectations of. Hasn't had the biggest split just yet. Let's take another look at what happened to Yagao.
A great turnaround by Croco right there, wrapping around that ramp, and the Ash arrow that hit onto Kanavi meant that Kanavi couldn't access forward to try and defend Yagao. This could have been a whole lot of different story had this arrow not landed onto Kanavi. And Croco, unfortunately, he flashed into the Trisha Bars. I think he was just about on the edge to not get hit. Flashes into it. Unfortunately for him, Ruler grabs that kill. Very important because, as you mentioned, Ruler, he's one of the champions that he's very known for. The Ezreal, of course. And in desperate need of showing that he is back up on form. I feel like The bot lane for JDG was one of their statement pieces, if you will, to this roster, having Ruler down there, especially with what a phenomenal split he had over in Spring with all the Lucian appearances that he's had. It was so oppressive on the Rift. Hasn't quite been the case for Summer, but he's looking to redeem that. Oh.
Arrow in the mid lane, and it hits Yagao. Cleanse immediately comes on. Wait, no, Buffered, sorry. He does not have Cleanse. Shanks finishes the job. Great arrow from Hope. And now in the bottom side, Ruler forced away, missing over the wall as well. Pyroclasm follows, though. It's a lot of damage. It's not a kill, but it should be a Drake.
They do have the numbers advantage right here. Yagao is going to lose so much in that mid lane. Ale has also moved all the way from top lane to mid lane to get some of that fruit from this tree. Grabbing some tower platings together with Shanks. And again, AL are so quick on the map. My top laner is mid to take those tower platings. Hope presses R on freaking cooldown, and AL is ready to take advantage of that. Missing is taking quite a lot of HP bar right there. I almost thought that Hope, might cancel his reset right there for a chance. Missing does have his flash available, of course, so taking the reset on the temple on the map is much more important. Hope POV. He's looking. Sending the arrow. Shanks is ready. The buffer was great, but the follow-up was even better.
Good reactions, honestly, from Yagao to even find that buffer. But at the end of the day, goes down. Shanks with 2 kills now on this Corki. We know how hard this pick can snowball. Ala's one of these players that even if he was behind, he still feels like a threat in the game. He's just a monster, isn't he? I feel like the biggest players that we need to see a great game from are in the bot side from both teams, to be honest. JDG, though, starting these grubs off. AL already with 3. Kanavi caught. Kael, can he follow up? His ultimate is on cooldown, but missing. Has to engage to try and save his team. Will be stunned up and will be taken down. AL find a kill. Perhaps 6 grubs, but whether or not they want to commit is a different question.
Oh, Hope with the heat-seeking arrows the entire game. And of course, Croco, fantastic performance. I mean, the 0-2 does not really tell the tale of how well he's been playing on this brand. I hope we get to see a replay right there, because he kept bouncing those ultimates onto Kanavi and Yagao. They couldn't step forward. This time around, AL are gonna fall back to the resets. They're gonna grab their buff with 4 Void Grubs. Look at the arrow hits, and as you'll see, it was Ruler, and Kanavi. They're trying to move backwards because Ale is a huge threat. He's charging Counter-Strike, and all these bounces back and forth of the ultimate do not allow Kanavi and Ruler to walk forward and do damage.
Yeah.
Allowing AL to do whatever the heck they want in the river.
Kind of tough for Ruler there as well. He obviously dodges the ultimate, which ordinarily would be good. He had Cleanse. If he cleanses that, Kanavi's not caught. Maybe could have been a better option. It's hard to know you need to do that, though. You'd hope your teammates can dodge it themselves. So far, though, Kanavi still surviving. 1-0-1 in the jungle. Does have that lead, despite, like you say, Croco getting some good damage with his ult. The previous ult from the Dragon fight, less inspirational, as it just hit one target one time. But Sheer now gets a chance up in that top side. And I've been enjoying watching Sheer this split. I feel like he is leveling up as a player. I feel like he was already decent when he first came in. Now he feels like a player that really can become a top player in the LPL. He's no longer just on tank duty. We're starting to see these carries come through for Sheer, and we're consistently seeing him step up and make these plays. Trading well with Ala up in that top side. Trying to maintain his performance here for JDG.
And you can show the trust that JDG is putting into him, right? Over in Spring, it was Sheer playing a lot of the games that were quote-unquote easier on paper on teams that would be below JDG, again, on paper, and Sheer would start. But when the playoffs came through, Flandre was the starting top laner for JDG. But right here, you can see AL is the strongest team currently in Group Ascend. And it is Sheer that is starting on JDG. A lot of trust and also a lot of pressure on the rookie mid laner, the young mid laner for JDG. Kael has been surrounded. They're gonna find Croco.
Kael, sorry, moves up to this mid lane to try and help Hope get priority. Ruler does just kind of outrange them on this Ezreal. But neither Ezreal or Ashe particularly good at clearing that mid wave, to be honest. It takes them a little while, doesn't it? So it ends up fairly neutral.
They can feel each other's struggle.
By the way, this is still the first Drake of the game. Neither team ever committed to taking the Drake. AL finally will try and do precisely that. It's ward in the back of the pit. There's a ward under the Drake as well. JDG look like they want to fight with Kanavi. Yeah, he's only in the mid lane for now. Drake taken by AL, but perhaps a fight could come on through. Missing hunting for an engage here, but it's hard at that range as Rel without flash.
So miscoordinated by JDG. Sheer pulls the TP after the dragon is gone, and they're gonna spot him down the bot lane, which means top lane is pretty free for Ale. He's gonna pressure that really hard. Luckily for JDG, they're gonna use their bodies right there to try and tank the tower and take it down. Oh my god, Sheer almost goes down on that one.
The backdoor bonus timed out there, so suddenly they couldn't do the damage. Croco is gonna move up top, so they got the Drake, and now they're gonna get Herald as well. JDG sort of half committing to a bot side play for the Dragon, but late to the play, and I think AL probably walking away scratching their heads from that one, wondering what happened.
Oh,
Yagao tried to finish the cannon, but the TP comes through, but now Kanavi turns it around onto Ale, but no! Just a split hair away from the tower. So close to finishing Ale. One more turret shot, I think, would have done it with the ramping damage, but the knockup, a pixel away.
That was disaster. Yagao ult the creep. He ulted a creep. He tried to ult Ale towards Kanavi to take him down, but he ends up ulting a creep. That was so unfortunate right there. JDG, you can tell right now they are getting desperate to try and make plays happen on the map. Try and potentially catch the Corki. Cash in on that 350 gold bounty. But this is what AL creates to you because of how fast they are on reacting on the map, on taking things from you while you're busy creating fights on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
It forces your hand as well. And JDG right here are looking to take that mid lane tower. Brom, though, very strong at defending.
Yeah, he's trying to hold on.
The shield's going to go down eventually.
Can only take so much of that onslaught. Unbreakable is sort of a misleading ability name. It is breakable eventually. I know, you realise.
Unbreakable for a certain amount of time.
TP up to the top side from AL. Al are going to try and look as Yagao caught. Oh, flashes away from the stun. Nice try from Croco. That's top tower secured. Remember, Croco still had Herald. Doesn't even need to use it up there. May even get a chance to use it bot lane since mid tower is already chunked.
Yeah, that mid lane tower is looking very juicy right now. Very, very low. However, there is a lot of wave clear with the Tristana and the Zara if they're around, so you could very easily just use it in the mid lane purely just to open up the map.
Oh.
Another arrow, is this gonna hit?
He just doesn't miss, does he?
There's no way.
He just doesn't miss. Unfortunately, Ala nowhere near his lane opponent, so even though it's a great shot, there's absolutely no follow-up that could come on through. Ala, I think, would have
This is nuts!
Even if he flashed, I don't think he can follow that one, but still a great shot. Still a great shot.
This is aim hacks right there, coming out from Hope. You just can't miss. They are actually going to use that Rift Herald in the mid lane just to open up the map a little bit more. AL have been playing fantastically well from Fog of War and taking small advantages on the map, like taking that mid lane tier 1. You'll see them instantly on the next reset. They're going to break through that bot quadrant of Kanavi's jungle, ward it all up, light it up in a lot of AL vision, and then try to take control for the next dragon fight that's coming up in about a minute and a half. And this is what great teams do. Around the 2 to 2.5 minutes prior to a game, prior to a play, you'll see they have already mapped out the course of action. That's exactly what AL have done right here. Excellent tempo again onto the map.
And I think it's important to acknowledge what AL are doing here, not just in terms of the outright gameplay, but in terms of this is a team that did well in their placement group, but it was NIP and Weibo. So a lot of people have kind of discounted what was achieved there. Arrow, slightly wide sheer, forced to flash. He'll be okay. But
he was almost forced to flash into it. That was insane. Oh my god.
That would have been bad. That would have been bad. But AL did so well in their placement group. A lot of that discounted by Weibo and NIP not looking particularly good themselves. They make it into the Ascend group, and then their first series, FPX, LGD, NIP again. It's these teams that, you know, you want to see good things from, but not necessarily been showing us that consistently. FPX been a little bit lackluster, NIP been pretty lackluster. Now they're against JDG. Now, JDG aren't playing at maximum form, but look at what AL are doing to them on the map. AL are absolutely outplaying them, and in the conversation of whether or not AL is a top team, right? I feel like series like this consistently happening, it answers the question that this is a top team. The only question for me now is, how high can they go?
Absolutely. I feel like a lot of people are also waiting to see, hey, how does AL rank up against BLG? How do they rank up against top esports? And of course, this will be a fantastic series, but currently they're playing versus the third team in the LPL, which has some absolute legendary names on the roster. And as you can see, AL, they know that JDG have complete control of the bots of the map. They're instantly starting the Baron, pulling them towards them.
Shears on his way over. That cannon is not something you want to fight in a Baron pit. Kael, so good at blocking these Ezreal
Crisis
ults.
averted.
That's twice at least I've seen him just completely deny that from Ruler. JDG
now,
really being tested here today.
That was a play that I wasn't necessarily expecting coming in from AL. I know that Ale had a low priority towards the top side of the map and that JDG had taken complete control of the bot side since they wanted to take that dragon away from AL. However, I do not feel like AL have enough damage for the time being to burn it fast enough because JDG had not committed to the dragon yet. They were playing sort of in the rotation around that mid lane so they could very easily dip into that river and sort of check it. And they do have Trusha Barrage. They've got a bunch of ways that they can actually check into the pit without committing their bodies. We've got plans from Zara again, Ezreal, Trusha Barrage. Very easy ways of just checking it out. And that was the case right there. That Trusha Barrage really hurt Hope, of course. He was in front of any other target. He's the first one to hit.
Certainly was. Ruler, so far, he's got a bounty actually for himself. 600 gold ahead on this Ezreal. You know, I mentioned that he's been, quote, underperforming. Like, I just want to quickly clarify as well. Ruler underperforming is still one of the best AD carries in the entire league.
To his standards.
He's not just,
he's
just not like absolutely indomitable auto wins every game, you know? Like the level that you expect from Ruler is just so absurdly high. But I feel we should kind of reassess team compositions at this point because we're getting into the mid game on a very even keel. Gold is within 100 of the two teams here. A lot of that in the pocket of Shanks. How did JDG approach this? Because it feels like AL have been the ones in control of the map, but then JDG did get the most recent Drake. How do they turn the tides? It's not getting hit by Hope's Ash Arrows, that's for sure. Hope has been incredible on this Ash pick.
What is Vanguard doing all this time? Hope has been aim hacking this entire game. He's been throwing arrows from outside Summoner's Rift and hitting everyone on the sideline. Absolutely incredible precision. Coming in from Hope, constantly forcing JDG to play with numbers disadvantage on the Rift. Again, going back to your question, I feel like JDG is a team build in this particular draft. To go all in, you've got the cannon, you've got the Rel engage. You've got your Stana and Ezreal that can follow up. However, AL love it when you play into them. The Braum, the Jax, the brand damage. When you dive forward, stacked up as a unit. It's going to be so difficult. I feel like JDG are going to have to sort of isolate targets and try to pick them off one by one, or at least play with numbers advantage. However, Hope is not even allowing them to play with numbers advantage on this Rift since the very get-go.
Yeah. I think the funny thing is as well, Ala is off to such a huge lead at the top side now, 1,000 gold in favor of him. Sheer got the counter pick, and Sheer played it well in the laning phase. But when you've got this many Ash arrows across the map, just absolutely smashing the targets. I love that Hope just stays and watches, makes sure that that does hit, makes sure the kill comes through. Always feels good.
The amazing coordination there is as well that Ali starts walking, forcing Sheer to back off into the arrow that was incoming due to the ping. It was spot on, incredible play by AL, so coordinated. Again, you mentioned how Ale has been of incredible importance, like this entire split. He's been incredible, and it's been showing. And now with a little bit of a poke help by Hope, he's been ahead about the entire game. 800 gold in the lead. 2 items in on this Jax. He could be an absolute nuisance on a side lane. Oh, not again.
Ala can do.
Surely not. Okay.
Yagao won't get caught. I mean, both solo laners have been killed by Hope's arrows this game. Shears died to it. Yagao died to it in the mid lane as well. He even managed to buffer his W, but it wasn't enough. Shanks and Ala both being graciously gifted gold by their AD carry. Doesn't usually happen that way around, but Hope happy to do it. He's almost on 3 items himself. as we broach the 25-minute mark. Baron up on the map. Remember, Brand and Zyra, either team, can very quickly do this objective should the other lapse control.
And this has been sounding a little bit way too one-sided by AL. And if you look at the gold, you're like, come on, guys, it's just 1,000 gold lead. And JDG have been doing pretty well for themselves to try and fend off, trying to find advantages. You see Kanavi instantly dipping into Croco's jungle every single time anything's happened on the other side of the map. He will try to take some advantage. He's at 1.1k gold up at this point. He's about 40 CS up on his counterpart. So Kanavi has been farming an absolute storm. He's 2 items up versus 1.5 onto Croco's brand right now. So he's been doing great for himself. And as you mentioned also, Ruler with the 2.5 items, almost a 3rd item completed for the JDG 80 carry. JDG have been doing pretty good for themselves. Trying to build up, back up to even. And they almost are. They're all, it's just a 300 gold difference right now.
I wasn't sure if Kanavi was actually going to start the Baron there. Missing moves in, get some vision control, sets up for Yagao to finish the tier 1 on the top side. And Kanavi continues to extend that vision control further into the jungle of AL. AL not going to let that go without a fight. Ala has found a very deep flank. He TP'd onto that ward, but it's not even needed. Yagao's just found by the rest of the team, and Kanavi now becomes the target. Stranglethorns come down. Ala's gone a bit too deep, but he's got a Seekers. He keeps himself alive. The root comes up through Counter-Strike, not enough, and Sheer gets his moment over the wall. The stuns come through, but it's not enough, and AL's still fighting out. Ruler dives forwards. Croco the target, turns golden as Ruler in a 2v1 finds them. He's back.
You criticize Ruler for not being peak performance. Ruler is back to that peak performance. Zara and Ezreal staying alive means you can use the plants to go for the Baron as well. You have to use them sort of as damage sources and as tank source as well. So you'll see one hit will go onto the plant, the other one will be tanked by JDG. And what a fantastic team fight to bring them back into the game and give them a 2,000 gold lead. Out of being the entire game on a deficit, and Yagao getting caught here. Absolutely detrimental for JDG's team fight. Missing's just about getting out, but Ale goes too far forward. Sheer has the time to walk all the way from the bot side of the map. Ale getting isolated and getting killed instantly, and Sheer with a fantastic ultimate right here, pretty much zoning the entirety of AL. I thought that Brand ult was going to be the demise, but Ruler made sure to position in a way that he didn't get hit by it and absolutely demolished AL.
I can't believe that E hit as well. I guess because Croco is still in Zhonya's and Seekers, the E's target had to be Shanks. It was the only target available. Fantastic play from Ruler. Immaculate team fighting. Sees the angle to dive in 1v3. Obviously a bit more damage coming out from Kanavi as well, but jumps forward into 3-2. Whoa!
Wow!
What?
Wow!
7,500. It's not even late game. That was a 26-minute fight. That is obscene.
And for anyone who's going to say that it's placebo, because Ezreal is a poke champion, he single-handed almost won them that entire fight to land in everything.
Oh, God.
I will shut up next. I'll shut up next time. That was straight up Cassacus. I'm sorry, Ruler. I'm sorry, man.
I mean, look, there's
also
only so
your fault
much...
for being there.
Only so much casters can take responsibility for a player walking in 1v3 mid lane, you know? Ruler has an incredible team fight. Just does not expect the flank, I guess, in the mid lane. Really unfortunate, and that pretty much ends the Baron play coming out from JDG.
You know what, Munch? We're talking about how JDG traditionally are a more slow team. As we're looking at this replay, I feel like this is a huge overstep by Ruler. You do not feel safe playing on that side, and he was also hugging the left side of the wall, which was the only side that they had no vision at. Missing was on the right side of the map as well, so definitely misposition right there from Ruler. Going back to the JDG point, though, they're traditionally a much slower team. They like to take their pace slow and steady. And I'm loving what AL are doing to them because they are forcing their hand. And knowing how good these players on JDG are when you see them being proactive on the map, when they're giving us these fights because they're forced to give us these fights because AL is pushing them to the max. I don't want a best of 3. Give me a best of 10 of these two teams.
This game has been quality, hasn't it? But ultimately, JDG are ahead now. Despite what AL have been doing all game, despite these arrows from Hope, even with Ruler getting caught in the mid lane there, it's still almost 2,500 gold on the Baron power play from JDG. There's no tier 2 in the mid or bot lane for AL now. There's not even an inhib tower for AL in that bottom lane. So huge pressure on the map for JDG. And they've got themselves about a 5,000 gold lead, but let's be honest, the carries across the board are all starting to get to 3 items. We are getting to the point where those gold leads matter less. They still matter, but I think what's going to matter more is individual performance. Yagao especially having a really, really hard game for himself. Ruler, massive highs, also massive lows so far. We'll see what the AL carries can bring to bear in these upcoming team fights. Ala especially has finished his Zhonya's. I'm keeping an eye on that Jax.
Absolutely, very important item breakpoints. The Zhonya's, as you mentioned right there, for the Jax. You've got 4 items on this Ezreal. Shojin completed. Seer, no!
Oh no, blast cones right into his own demise. The stun will come through. Pyroclasm burns him too. And Crisp and Kael takes a bit of the credit as he finds himself his first kill of the game. That's a pick on the top side that opens up potentially a tier 2. I don't think they can really commit to a siege. No neutrals up, so perhaps the pick won't lead to too much.
Yeah, Yagao's already there trying to defend the wave. You also have Kanavi and missing, shadowing just in case any AL members want to stay around. Yagao with the temple TP down bot lane as well. The savior of all the pushing waves from AL. Makes you to soak up that pressure top. TP's down bot, takes that wave too. And Crisis averted for JDG. Very unfortunate right there from Sheer. Oversteps his welcome, of course. Sees just the Corki up top lane. Ruler just ease through the wall.
Is okay. I will say, so far, I've criticized Ruler and I've complimented Sheer. And so far, Sheer is 0-4 and Ruler hardcore 1v3 to fight. So, I guess my read on JDG is just out of the window at this point. Ruler looking to put pressure on this game. He has to have a standout Ezreal performance. I love he's bringing the striker Ezreal to the table as well with the Euros going on. Copa America, I think, happening at the same time as well. Lots of football around the world to be witnessing. I'm just saying there's quite a big game later on tonight. I don't know if anyone knows, but it does happen to be coming home a little bit later on tonight. I think Ruler celebrating that one a little early, perhaps. I wonder who he's cheering for.
He's cheering for the Dragon that's coming up in 20 seconds because it's going to be the 3rd Dragon. That would be soul point for JDG. Now, caveat to the previous team fight that we just saw, that was AL throwing their bodies one by one into JDG, and JDG picked them apart 4 versus 5. It's not going to be quite the same case right here. AL have a lot of range in their kit, and if you dive into them, Brand is going to have an absolute great time. Or Shanks.
He's found Shanks. He's found Shanks on the bot side of the play. JDG with a man advantage. AL sent packing on the bottom side. The Croco caught back a bit. Has to flash. And now the arrow goes in. Ala finishes off one and evens things up. Ala back out of the pit. It will be Drake for JDG.
That was a great try for a save from Ale. But the Dragon still goes to the side of JDG. They could beeline a Baron potentially. Catching AL onto resets. There should be a hawk shot coming in from Hope right there. And they're going to pull the TPs instantly. But JDG hasn't even started it yet. The hawk shot is going to spot it. Ale could have been a lot of trouble here if that hawk shot hadn't landed before he committed.
Counter-Strike is just a very good ability, isn't it? You can just face check and
walk
walk away
game.
without taking any damage. Don't rate the sequel, though. I'm just kidding. I actually have not played the second one just yet. Sheer, though, really, really good flank to find Shanks. I wasn't sure if he was going to wait and try and find more targets, but, you know, assassination onto the enemy mid laner, I think that's worthwhile. Yagao just steps too far forward to the CC chain. It's obscene.
I feel like Yagao has been the recipient of a lot of brutality coming out of AL. Not particularly his game.
That was a big one. Ooh, coming through there. Ala's got on the top side. Oh no. We were in a replay. We were watching the oohs and ahs from the crowd. And Ala ends up falling. An uncharacteristic mistake from him. Now Croco, will be forced to back away. He's 1 HP. He's surely going to go down. Kael tries to save him, but Kael might just fall as well. Oh, the snipe from Ruler is gorgeous. Yagao over the wall just finds a way to die before the team fight is over. Fantastically consistent play from Yagao this game, but Ruler turning this into a win for JDG. These fights have been immaculate.
They could end up ending the game. There's 20 seconds onto Ale and about 30 plus for anyone else. JDG are just storming mid lane to take the game.
Yagao having a struggle, but the rest of JDG making it happen. Kael trying to pull the minion wave away, but he falls, and with a cannon there, this will be game. Aya looked so good early on in the game, but when it came down to it, JDG stepped up.
I said this during the game, I'm gonna say this again. I love what AL are doing to JDG. They're forcing them to be proactive, they're forcing them to take these fights, they're forcing them to play to catch members on a side lane, and JDG have woken up from the big slumber, you know, they were just sleeping. They were just playing for that late game during the spring. They were taking it slow and steady. There ain't no slow and steady versus AL. And I love that they have taken control of that game and never let go. It was pick after pick, and their big names really shined in this game. Kanavi on the Zara, Ruler with an incredible Ezreal performance as well.
Yeah.
All the doubters could not say a single thing about Ruler this game.
And you know what? Sheer got caught out a few times in that game, but hero moments to finish it out as well. Ala, the one to be picked off that actually turned the game in JDG's favor right at the end there. Fantastic stuff from JDG. We're going to go to game number 2 right after the break.